Next up, we are going to have Anne-Marie Rogers from Inspira Financial. She is part of Inspira Financial, a leading provider of health, wealth, retirement, and benefit solutions. Jason DeBono was not able to be here, but we're going to have Anne-Marie come and share a little about herself and a little bit more about the company. So give it up for Anne-Marie.
Thanks, Jenny. Hi, everyone. As Jenny said, my name is Anne-Marie Rogers. I oversee the B2C sales team and am the director at Inspira Financial. Inspira, if you're not familiar with us, one of the things that we do is self-directed IRAs, but truly the company is positioned in a really unique way in the marketplace. With a lot of the custodians that exist with self-direction, that's really their bread and butter. That's the key thing that they do. And the company that I've spent the last almost 12 years with, Quest Trust Company, that's exactly what we had narrowed our focus and become experts in the self-directed IRA industry. But very recently, Quest Trust Company and NewView Trust Company were both acquired by Inspira Financial. And so it's really become a match made in corporate heaven, so to speak, in the sense that these smaller companies that have really been able to go direct to the consumers, build that relationship, nurture them, and teach them all about how they can be successful with self-directed IRA, alternative asset investing, they've now been brought under Inspira in this incredible company that has the technology and the resources that's really unparalleled in the industry. A little bit of background about Inspira. They've been in business for 20 years, and they have multiple lines of business. So I mentioned that they're positioned in a really unique way in the sense that they don't just do retirement planning. They actually do health, wealth, retirement, and benefits. A lot of times when people are saving for the future, when you're thinking about your overall wealth building, people will narrow in their focus and say, well, I've got to become a really savvy investor. I've got to go out and educate myself and find the very best investments. That's 100% true, but that's really just a piece of it. Overall wealth building needs to be wider than just the investments that you're choosing. It needs to be the investments, but also how are you then mitigating that tax? And that's one of the things that self-directed IRAs does by doing your real estate-based investments or syndications or investing in private companies in these types of vehicles. The profits are going back in without tax, which is really a game changer when you're thinking about the exponential type of returns that you can have in these accounts. In addition to that, though, Inspira also has another line of business where they do 1031 exchanges. So there are a lot of opportunities in terms of tax strategy, but beyond that, they also have a health and benefits side of the business where they service both individuals as well as businesses. So for those of you that have your own business, there's opportunities there for yourself and for your employees that could be an advantage. And the other thing is that Inspira has a relationship with some of the biggest Fortune 500 companies in the United States. Just to name a few of them, they have Whole Foods, Home Depot, and many, many more. If you've ever worked at a company before and left that company, after you would leave, your 401k then becomes accessible to you. Well, these large companies have to have a partnership with an institution, and that company for many of these big Fortune 500 companies is Inspira. So it's a very large company with really a breadth of services that's available for consumers, clients like yourself, but also for businesses. They have $62 billion under administration and have been around for more than 20 years. So I couldn't be more excited to be here and get the privilege to share this exciting news that NewView and Quest are now part of Inspira Financial. It's kind of funny because, throughout this event, you get to know the people that you're there with and, you're talking to the vendors or other people and, kind of get chit-chatting. And we're obviously all talking about our kids, as you do. And, I would liken what has occurred with the acquisition of NewView and with the acquisition of Quest in a similar way. For those of you that have kids, you have your children and you keep them close and you take care of them and you build them up and nurture them, and you've reared your kids, and then you kind of set them free and they go out and they go on to their greatness. Beyond what they would have been able to do with you, right? We always look for the best for them. And it's really no different that's happened here. The vision for both of these companies, for NewView and for Quest, is that one day the vision is that we've brought it up to this great company, built it to the very best that we possibly could. We've been able to grow it and now sell it to a company like Inspira. So the legacy of these companies lives on. Obviously, for clients, this is a huge opportunity, and certainly for the staff as well that have been retained. So for consumers, you have all of these different lines of businesses, but one of the things specific to self-directed IRAs that is really a game changer is the ability to also invest in traditional assets. Most self-directed IRA companies, you can exclusively invest in alternatives in the space. But with Inspira, you have the capacity to invest in both traditional investments and in alternatives. Not even the big names in the industry, the Edward Jones, the Charles Schwabs, not even these companies are bringing that level of diversity in terms of your investments. So it really speaks to what Inspira is able to do. This is a little bit of background on the company. They have 8 million account holders across all of their lines of business, with about 100,000 of those being specifically in self-directed IRAs. So for those of you that are in the room today and you are networking, you're here to perhaps learn, but maybe you're here because you're looking for opportunities to raise capital for your deals, big or small, this is a huge opportunity for you. With 8 million account holders, getting the exposure of a company like Inspira Financial is huge. And so as we align and bring in Quest and NewView that have done a really excellent job of educating and producing events and networking opportunities, that is still to come for Inspira, but now in such a bigger and better form. Mentioned, $62 billion under administration, which really shows you just the strength and stability of this company. I was at a networking event. Gosh, when was Limitless? Was that about 2 weeks ago or so? And somebody came up to the booth and they were custodian shopping, and they were like, well, why would I pick Inspira over, X company? And there were about 4 or 5 companies that were there. And, I told them my answer has shifted a bit over the course of the last year with the acquisition. Certainly being client focused and having good customer service and having economical fees, networking events, those things are all still of vital importance. But my answer has shifted, and I can say this from personal experience in working at a company that was just acquired by an organization like Inspira, is that I think one of the most important things you need to be looking for when you're looking for a custodian is that strength and that stability that the company brings. The reality is that industry-wide, but specifically in self-direction, there's been a lot of consolidation, and there will continue to be a lot of consolidation in the industry. And so as you're looking for somewhere to park your hard-earned money, the money that you've worked so hard for in your 401k from a previous job, and now go out and invest it in real estate, you want to make sure that you're at a company that that they're going to be there a year from now, 2 years from now, and that Inspira will. So I couldn't be more proud to be at this company. It feels very full circle for me. I started at Quest almost 12 years ago. When I started there, it was a very, very small family-owned business with about, maybe 25 or so employees, and since then grew to what it is today. And NewView has a very similar story, having both been part of Entrust previously. So it feels very full circle for us. And now we're at this company that, like I said, brings really the breadth of service, but also brings so many different opportunities in the space that companies like ours that are a little bit smaller, small to mid-sized type of companies, things that we were just dreaming of. This shows really the experience that you can have with Inspira in terms of all of the available options for you. But we would love to sit down and talk to you a little bit more about the story behind Inspira. For us, we feel so privileged. It's really the blending of three incredible companies now under one umbrella as Inspira Financial. And so, for us, while, it's a little bit bittersweet to not maybe see the name of Quest or see the name of NewView out there in the marketplace, it's onward and upward, and we couldn't be more excited to be with such an incredible company. So thank you so much for the opportunity to come up here and tell the story today. Yes, Jenny?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Especially when many of us investors are looking, for private money and access to all of this. How are you guys doing your networking events currently with your clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's interesting because the acquisition of Quest and NewView were so attractive to a company like Inspira. They had all these different lines of business, and they did have self-directed IRAs, but the way that they were going about it was really through more institutional means and B2B relationships. And so these companies that have been out in the real estate community, have been building relationships with people and direct to the consumer, was kind of a new opportunity for Inspira and not something that they'd had before. So, while we as smaller companies have been learning from them, they've also been learning from us and learning this side of the business and how you have to get out there and do these types of networking events and be able to produce good quality content because this is such a new concept for so many people. So all of that to say, recently the CMO of Inspira took time to fly out and meet with our teams because they're very interested in how successful both of these companies have been in the education and networking events. And so we're spending a little bit of time creating strategy to make sure that it aligns with an organization with the size and scope of Inspira, but we'll be back bigger and better than ever in 2025.
All right. Well, has anybody else got questions for her? No? Okay, well, thank you so much, Anne Marie. We appreciate it.
Of course.
This was awesome.